All right, I want to go ahead and welcome everybody to our 2012 economic forecast. Appreciate y'all coming, and we thank the media for coming today. We know there's plenty of other exciting things going on, and the fact that you're here means a lot to us. We'll go quickly. I'm William Ware, and this is my brother Pat Ware. We're both vice presidents here at Amarillo National Bank. Our format today is how it's been in years past, very simple, very straightforward. We'll start with a recap of 2011, go into our forecast of 2012, touch on some specific high points, and then, of course, we'll take questions, and if you want to do interviews, we'll be happy to do that. Last year, we got to welcome you to the recovery because it was clear we were entering one. This year, it's a little less of a recovery, but we're still recovering. The drought definitely dried up any chances of any significant recovery, and we'll touch on more of that as we go on. Why do we do this? Why do we do this press conference? We do it because it's timely. It's early in the year. It's a great way to start the year, and this is local information. This is stuff that we put together through our officers, our customers, and our local residents. This is not national information, and you can't get it anywhere else but Amarillo. Of course, we do it monthly. We like to track this to make decisions on it. The bank uses it to make decisions every day. And, of course, it gives our customers and the community useful information on our local economy. Because the Amarillo economy is different than the national economy. You'll hear that theme today, and we'll actually express that in a lot of our points. I'll start with the 2011 recap. 2011 recap was a turbulent recovery. Retail sales surprised everyone. Manufacturing job growth came back stronger. And remember, manufacturing jobs are our favorite. The drought was, of course, a major drag on the economy. Farms and ranchers suffered, while feedlots and dairies actually had really good years. Higher commodity prices sure helped. And, of course, we saw recovery here at the bank. We saw growth in loans, deposits, and capital. Our strengths and weaknesses in 2011. We'll start off with the strengths. Retail sales blew it out of the water. The headline is retail sales and the oil boom. We saw the strongest sales we've had in years, and job growth was steady. Dairies and feedlots had their best years in years. Dairies probably had their best year since 2006. The oil boom in the Eastern Panhandle is the most efficient drilling in the country and will benefit our economy for years to come. Housing starts and housing prices were flat. Apartment rents came up for the first time. We were glad to see that. Our weaknesses are obvious. Droughts killed attitudes and profits. Higher commodity prices and insurance payments helped. Commercial construction skidded to a halt in the fourth quarter. And our crop insurance helped. We're not going to see that help this next year. I'm going to turn over to Pat to give our 2012 economic forecast.
So the forecast, that's always kind of the trickiest thing we do. Let's look back and see how we did from a year ago. Last year when we were doing this press conference, we were a little low on retail sales. We were forecasting 4% increase in retail sales. They were actually 8%. And we think the thing driving that were the profitable businesses in Amarillo and, of course, the job growth. We nailed the inflation numbers, both locally and nationally, and this is a number we're really going to be looking at in the years to come. You know, as the Fed keeps these interest rates low, we are going to be watching that. On the jobs, we were off by about 600 people. We were a little more optimistic, but we were saved by people like Bell and Owens Corning, Pantex, and Asarco. They all held steady in the Tyson plant, so employment held really strong. So as we look for the 2012 forecast, we're pretty optimistic. We think employment's going to be strong, and we think, again, the profitable business will help carry us through the sustained recovery. The one thing we're all talking about that's on everybody's mind is the drought. Lack of any bubbles should give slow and steady growth. We're not seeing any bubbles in any kind of real estate, whether it's commercial or housing, vehicle sales, anything like that. That it's just slow, steady growth without the pops that you see in some of these other parts of the country. And one of the most important things contributing to our economy now is the oil boom in the Eastern Texas Panhandle. This is going to be a huge benefit for years to come, and something I think everybody in this room is going to be watching very closely. The biggest number we saw this year, the biggest increase was in retail sales, and this, of course, was driven by the steady job numbers. So retail sales were up 8%. We think in 2012 they won't be up 8%. We think they'll kind of revert to the mean, go back to about 4%, but still we'll see strong increases. Talking to some of our customers, retailers, they had their best Christmas ever. And then we talked to some of our auto dealers, and they're expecting more of the same for 2012 with impressive used car sales and kind of low to steady used car sales. Employment drives everything. It's the most important number we have in our pulse, and it's the number we look at most every single month. And 2012 was a pretty good year. We look at the household survey, and we think it gives a better overall understanding of what the employment picture looks like in Amarillo. And 2011 was a good year. We are anticipating a bump up, about 1,700 jobs in this area, so that'll be good. That'll help retail sales and everything else. The employment number, that's tough to gauge because all that is denominator controlled by who's in the job market. But we think it will be down for the year. Hand it over to William to talk about commodities and real estate.
All right. I'll start with real estate, which is an important part of our area and a big part of our bank. We're going to see steady trends in both prices and starts. We should also see sales be about level with last year. Rates should stay low, which will help this process. And of course, as Pat said, there are no bubbles, which is sure going to help our area. I'll go to commodities. Even though our economy is a very diverse economy, commodities play a very large role in our local economy. Weather. We're going to watch the weather this year. That's going to play a major role. Drought's expected to continue. We don't know how long. It's just the short-term forecast isn't that positive. No pasture cattle should drive up cattle prices in the second half of the year. And higher input costs will shrink margins. Lower incomes for farmers from lower yields and lower insurance payments will hurt. Ranchers won't have as many cows to sell, so they'll have a softer year. And of course, dairy and ethanol have had steady trends the last year. We think that'll continue due to demand and good, reasonable input prices. And cotton is trending down, so we'll be watching cotton in 2012. Energy will probably buoy our economy in 2012 due to the oil boom in the East Texas Panhandle and the efficient drilling operations. The high quality of the gas will help offset the lower gas prices. And of course, the price of oil should remain high throughout the year. We think the energy sector will be important for the economy in 2012. I'll turn it over to Pat to give our leading index, CPI, and bankruptcies.
Bankruptcies were down in 2011, and we think they're going to be down even a little more in 2012 as credit scores improve and people really get their personal debt in line. The CPI, that's a number that's very important, and we're not too optimistic on this thing. We think locally and nationally, inflation is going to be up a little more than in years past, probably around 4%. And of course, the first places you'll see this will be at the grocery store and the gas pump. Our leading index, we don't forecast that out. That's numbers we gather every single month. And the last time we gathered it was in December, and it's up a little bit. So we're thinking the first 3 months of 2012 ought to be up. Our leading index historically has been pretty accurate, and we have a lot of confidence in that number. So that's it for the forecast. We think 2012 is going to be a great year. Things to watch are, of course, the weather, all things drought-related, inflation, and the jobs numbers. Those are the most important things that will drive 2012, and those are things we're really looking forward to keeping our eye on. So if y'all have any questions, we're ready to take them.
Natural gas prices are headed back down to that magic $2 mark. Will that affect oil demand and ultimately oil prices? Will prices for oil stay high enough that the drilling in the East Panhandle will continue?
We think so. We think because of the nature of the formation in the Eastern Texas Panhandle, it allows them to access gas and oil cheaper, plus it's higher quality gas, which should bring a premium. The price of oil is usually affected by global economy, and all the trends point to a higher price of oil. In this area, we produce more oil than gas, so that will help us.
You mean in that Eastern Panhandle?
Yes.
More oil?
Mm-hmm.
That's
not in that
the whole Panhandle.
Yes.
How do you account for the growth in retail sales
It's all employment. It was all driven by employment. As you can see on our polls, when the recession hit, we started seeing some severe job losses. And as those jobs started coming back with Owens Corning, Bell Helicopter, Tyson, all kind of our important key employers in town, when they started hiring again, it was amazing. We saw retail sales go up again. So it's amazing how those two are correlated.
What about the other parts of the Panhandle that see Amarillo as the market center of the area? How does that affect your view of the forecast with respect to employment and sales? I'm talking about towns like Pampa and Dalhart and Dumas.
That's where the drought really affects Amarillo. In the last 2 months, retail sales were actually down as opposed to the average over the year. And we think that's a definite reaction to the impact of the drought all over the Panhandle.
Do you think the spending in December is more of a phenomenon, though, with people spending at the end of the year because they haven't all year long? Do you think they'll pull in again?
Yeah, I think so. I think you're exactly right on December. I think, of course, what we've seen at the bank is deposits are at an all-time high because saving rates are so low for the savers. But one thing with December, and we'll see this in February in the actual numbers, but we think a lot of people in town started giving out Christmas bonuses over the last couple of years, and that really helps drive those December numbers.
If you wanted the average viewer that's going to be watching our stations tonight to get one thing away from this, what would you want the most important thing to be?
That the people in Amarillo and Canyon live in the best part of the country for economic growth. If we can get this drought out of the way, we're really set up for some strong growth. So
you would
keep
want
watching the weather, but also to keep the confidence up. Things are okay in this part of the country. We're not anticipating any major layoffs. We're actually expecting hiring going on in 2012.
So you would want their perception to be a positive one on this outlet.
Exactly.
Our economy is different than the national economy, and it sets us apart. We're not susceptible to the major economic fluctuations that you'll see on the coast and in the major cities, and we're so isolated geographically that major swings in climate change and other things won't affect us as much. So the key here is that we're different, and that we can usually sustain these recessions a little better than different areas around the country. All right. Thank you all for coming today. We appreciate your all's time, and we'll do some one-on-ones if you'd like.
Okay. What do you guys think the effect of the Feds being more transparent about the interest rates are going to be? How is that going to affect the business community?
I think with the Fed being more transparent with their interest rate predictions, it will allow markets to make better decisions, and it will allow markets to move a little quicker. But I don't see a lot of benefit in their announcing what they're going to do with short-term rates, because typically rates are going to move regardless, and no one can predict interest rates. I think banks are eager to lend. Nationwide, banks' deposits are higher than they've ever been. People are sitting on the sidelines. They're storing their money in banks because they don't want to do anything with it. Banks have more deposits now than they've had in years because people are saving their money. No one wants to invest in an uncertain time, and banks are willing to lend. Banks will only make money if they lend. And that's why I believe it's not an issue of credit standards. It's really an issue of the economy. If people need to borrow, if they need to borrow, there is money available, and there are banks willing to lend.